And welcome to For Action Takers Only. My name's Todd, and this is the channel, the podcast. If you like what you're seeing, I'm going to ask that you subscribe and like and keep coming back to visit. Today we got Tasheen Collins. He's from Brooklyn, New York, newbie in SubTo, and I wanted to bring him in. I see him active in the morning Zooms and stuff with Carolyn Kane, and I see him active all the time, so I wanted to get him in here because I see him taking action. So those are the people I like to talk to. So let's get Tasheen in here.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, Tasheen? How's it going, man?
It's going amazing, man. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to be on the show and to be able to build a bigger and better relationship with more people in the community.
Hell yeah, that's what it's about too, building a network, right?
For sure.
For sure. So did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes, I did. Thanksgiving was amazing. Ate a lot of food. Went to a couple different houses. So Thanksgiving was good.
Cool deal. So let's hear your story. How long have you been in SubTo? How did you come across SubTo, and what made you decide to join?
All right. Well, I've been in SubTo. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. Um, I've been in SubTo for about 70 days or so. Active in SubTo. Joined, I want to say, late June. And I'd say SubTo found me really instead of me finding SubTo. I had spent a little bit of money on a couple different memberships. A little bit of money to some people, a lot of money to other people. Depends on who you ask. I probably spent a good 15 grand on other different real estate mentorships. Just trying to, learn and perfect the craft. Um, and I had been in a previous creative finance mentorship. Once I was no longer in that mentorship, somebody from that mentorship actually joined SubTo. Shout out to Amy Van Zandt and Van Zandt Auctions. And after them joining SubTo and being here for about 60 days or so, they brought me into the community.
All right. Did I make the mistake of saying Brooklyn instead of Buffalo again when I introduced you?
You did make the mistake.
I don't know why I have Brooklyn on the brain today. I am just not with it. I think it's too much food. I'm still stuffed from Thanksgiving, so I apologize.
Yeah, definitely. And my fiance was just out there as well. So
I just lost your sound. There you go. All right, there you go.
Just a little bit of daddy duties over here on my end.
All right, no problem. So how old are your kids?
I've got 3 kids, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and about to be 5-year-old.
Oh wow. So you got your hands full. I got a 10-year-old. I'm a single parent of a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I played the single parent role for quite some time, and now I got my fiance. So
well, that's good. That's good. So tell me more about SubTo. Uh-oh, lost you again. Oh, because I see what you got going on. All right.
yeah, just taking care of some daddy duties.
You going on? I thought we were losing audio, but you're muting it, huh? So you can take
Yeah,
care
I
of
was.
it.
I was muting it to take care of daddy duties. So everybody that sees it know, we're regular people just like everybody else, right? We're
Right. Got
taking
stuff to
life
take
by
care
the
of.
horns and handling our responsibilities.
Right.
The internet sometimes make us all sound like superstars or celebrities, like we ain't got, regular lives like everybody else. So it's good for them to see the authenticness.
Definitely. We're just regular old people trying to make it.
For sure. For sure. Taking action so we can get there.
Right.
But
Right.
man,
I see you getting busy in those morning Zooms. So you getting real busy in those, huh? You have some goals in mind, don't you?
oh yeah, man, it's all about your why, man. Once your why is big enough, you'll definitely succeed because you won't have any other choice. So once you're once you know what your why is and your why is big enough, that's what's going to keep you determined and make you actually take action. So, um, that's one of the biggest things I would say is figuring out your why and making sure that your why is big enough so that you'll show up not only for yourself but for your why every day. Because there's going to be days where you don't want to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some struggles in there. There's some hard days coming if you're taking this route. It's not a get rich quick scheme for sure.
Not at all. It's a get rich guaranteed, but you won't get rich quick.
No, yeah, guaranteed if you take action. You can guarantee nothing if you get nothing. The old saying is faith without works is dead. So this is the same thing. If you can come in here and sit and watch all you want, but if you don't take action, you're not going to get very far.
That is 100% true, and I think a lot of people swipe the credit card or the debit card, and they feel like because they spent the money that life's supposed to change,
Hmm.
without realizing that you can sign up for a course, you can pay a mentor, but if you don't implement and take action on the knowledge, it's people commonly say knowledge is power. I tell people they've got that mistaken. It's the execution of the knowledge obtained which gives one power.
That's good. That's a good saying. Yeah, absolutely. So, can you tell me about your struggles with being like coming into Sub 2 new? You said you joined back in June, right?
Yeah, so I joined back in June. Um, it's summertime, kids are out of school, life was just kind of life in. So it took me a little bit of time to actually get started and dedicate some time to this. And then once I started dedicating time, again, since I had already been spending money on mentorships and going to seminars, people had they knew that I was involved in real estate or doing things in real estate, even though I hadn't already closed a deal. Um, so really, what Sub 2 did for me is once I got dedicated and concentrated, I was able to start playing that connector role and kind of take advantage of some of the opportunities that were already on my plate.
Okay. All right. So, what other mentorships have you been involved in?
Uh, Quite a few. I was a part of Multifamily Mindset, which was a syndication mentorship. I've been part of the Julian Gordon um, Multifamily Movement mentorship. I've been a part of the Go Getter Family mentorship. Um, Alchemist Nation Mastery Program. Um, I've
Ooh.
been around the block for quite a few mentorships, and that's just mentorships. That doesn't even include all the different seminars that I've flew to and places all around the country that I've went to meet people just to show up to different seminars and try to learn little 3-day workshops, 2-day workshops, stuff like that.
Right. So, what did you start your journey into doing this and into going towards real estate then?
I would say I've always known as a child that I wanted to do something in real estate. I was the guy that we would drive past a hotel and I'd be telling my mom at 9 years old, "Yo, mom, it would be great to be able to own something like that."
Hmm.
Um, so I've always been interested in real estate, and I think it really boiled down to learning in social studies, which was one of my favorite subjects as a child.
Okay.
Um, Back in feudal days, feudal society, if you owned land and assets, you mattered. And if you didn't own any land and any assets, you didn't matter. Um,
So
and
you
that
paid attention.
Yeah, yeah, so that just, like, stuck with me, and it was like, well, it makes it just makes sense, like, if you own stuff, if you have stuff, then you matter. If you don't own anything and you don't have anything, then you
You
don't matter to the powers that be. I know we're in a very sensitive time in history right now, so we don't wanna be telling people they don't matter because they don't own anything. but
But that's the truth
essentially
of the situation. No, that's the truth of you gotta look at it, and if you have money in today's society, people will listen to you. You don't have money, you're not heard, you're not seen. Exactly what you're saying. You have stuff and own stuff, you can be seen and heard. If you don't, you're not.
correct. You can, it's almost like you gain influence. And I mean, even if we bring it back to, you know, all of the movies and the Scarfaces, and they all tell you first you get the money, then you get the respect, then you get the power. So
Mhm.
you really get nothing. Like, you have to obtain something, rather that money is assets, rather it's equity, rather it's cash. Like, you have to have something to leverage in order to get people to want to pay attention to you, and that's just human nature.
Absolutely. So, how have you compared since you've taken all these other mentorships and programs and seminars? How would you compare those to Sub Two?
What I would say is there are a few, like the Alchemist Mastery. That's a good one. Um, what I will say is, one, you have to change yourself, right? Like, you can't get into these mentorships and think that because you spent some money on a mentorship that your life is supposed to change. If you want to just swipe your credit card and you think your life's going to change, everybody's life would change, because everybody can go get a high interest credit card even with poor credit.
Mhm.
Um, so you got to be willing to take the action and actually put in the work, and not just blame it on the mentorships. Because as much as we want to blame it on other mentorships, are there different things in the sub 2 community? Yes, but that's the difference. You hear me calling the other ones mentorships and subject to a community. That's the difference. Subject to doesn't only the subject to community and the education that we get in subject to is not just a place to get educated. It's a place that gives you the education and then the resources to implement that education in real life scenarios, so that you learn how it actually happens. Where a lot of these other mentorships are almost like a do-it-yourself DIY course in real estate. So they'll give you information, and they give you phenomenal information, but then you're still stuck in your city, in your home, in your four walls, feeling as though you're left doing it alone and you have no help. And therefore you take no action, because you still feel as though you don't belong anywhere, and you don't belong in this business because there's so many things that you don't understand.
Absolutely, and those feelings will come at you hard, won't they?
Oh yeah, they do. And I'll
Oof.
tell you, I've been active in the community for about 70 days. I've closed one deal so far, zero money out of my own pocket, and made
Oh,
over $8,000. Um,
really?
yeah. Uh,
Awesome. That is awesome. You're gonna have to tell me how tell us how you did it. Can you tell us about it? You got time?
um, Yeah, yeah. So that was an out of state deal. So I did that all remotely, believe it or not. And closed my first ever real estate deal remotely. I had gotten a deal under contract, actually, where I am locally, and a friend of mine heard that I had gotten my first deal under contract, and they reached out to me with the situation that they were experiencing. They had bought a house about 18 months ago, using a VA loan, and they were relocating. So they had low equity because they had just bought in about 18 months. So they couldn't sell their house on the market without actually having to write a check to sell their house. So they would have had to pay to sell their house versus making money, where most people think you sell your house, you make money. Not
Mhm.
always the case. Um, so they reached out to me, and they're like, yo, I heard you're helping people. I heard you're really doing this thing that you've been saying you were going to do for the last 3 years. Is there any solutions or any way that you could help us? So we reviewed everything. They had no arrears, they had nothing like that. We did a simple subject to transaction, taking over their existing mortgage. The sellers were able to walk away. They no longer have to worry about making 2 mortgage payments every month. And they got to sell a house that otherwise on the market they would have had to write a $25,000 check. This way, they sold the house without writing a $25,000 check, and they actually allowed somebody else to make a $16,000 check, which I was able to partake in half of that $1,600 check.
That's awesome. So how does that feel? 70 days in, taking action, and you have some results.
I mean, it feels great. And you know what's crazy is to get into this mentorship cost $8,800, and my
Mhm.
first check was $8,800.
So you're
So
now covered. You're now broken even.
correct. So
That's badass.
I'd say I made probably about $100 with this check. If you look at the regular mentorship cost and then what I made, about close to 87 and $8,900. So made $100. Mentorship's fully paid for. Um,
You're
you
good to
know,
go.
and I'm working on the second deal.
A second
Um,
one in progress too, right? You said you already have something in the works, right?
Yeah, we've got it in the works. We're actually under escrow. We're under contract and opened escrow on the second deal. This is going to be a subject to transaction in the state of New York, where everyone said creative deals could not be done.
Okay.
Um, it is very difficult. I will say that you have to have resources in New York State in order to get deals done, because there's
Okay.
a lot of big boy stuff behind the scenes, a lot of just inner workings of like the good old boys club behind the scenes. um but
Yeah.
luckily I was able to get hooked up with the number one real estate attorney in all of New York State, who specializes in doing creative deals. So shout out to Rick Borman and Borman Law LLC.
Okay.
Anybody in New York State, you don't want to use anybody else other than Rick. And sometimes it will be hard to get a hold of him, but that's because people like me and hundreds of others are always on his line and on his calendar. Um,
Trying to
because
get them some deals, huh?
yeah, man, bringing them the deals. So it's been a ride, and I've learned a lot of things, and I've learned there was things that I thought I knew that I didn't understand 100% until I actually implemented it. Um, so that's one thing I'll say too, is a lot of people want to learn behind the screen and just watching the video and taking notes. Um, but things change literally every day in the real estate world. So you could be watching something on a video today and it could be changed tomorrow. So just take action, and leverage community, leverage people. If you're not inside the SubTo community and you can't get inside the SubTo community because of a financial reason, leverage the free Facebook group, leverage people who are already in the subject to community. Go get
They're
on the
still willing to help. Yeah, they're still willing to help.
Yeah, for sure. Leverage us on this podcast, reach out to us on Instagram, reach out to us on Facebook. Let us help you get deals done,
Right?
and show you that you can do a deal with no money out of your own pocket.
Hell yeah. You just showed it. And both your first two deals are sub two, right? They involve sub two.
Yes.
They're not
Yep.
just like cash wholesaling or anything like that.
Nope. Both of my first deals, one was a foreclosure that we went ahead and stopped the foreclosure. So we negotiating with the bank and doing all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's going to be our buy and hold, which that is a 3.1 interest rate in 2023 that we'll be having, uh,
Dang.
with 14 years into the mortgage, 16 years still remaining on the mortgage. And we're walking into a property with zero money out of our own pocket. Let me be clear, there's money into the deal,
No,
just not
come on. You
our
you had to
money.
put just not your money.
Correct. So there's OPM, other people's money in the deal, Other people will give you money to do a deal when you have a good deal.
Right.
3.1% interest rate. PITI is less than $600 a month. And we have a long term renter who's going to rent that property at $2,000 a month rent.
Wow. In
Um,
New York, right?
in Western New York, in the city of Buffalo, New York, and we will also have over $125,000 in instant equity in this property.
Oh, wow. So and they're saying that's a horrible market. So, but in a horrible market, you're still finding deals.
100%. We're we're
So,
we're able to find deals that other people can't find because we do things that other people can't or won't do.
okay, because I was going to ask about being in New York. What about like taxes? Taxes on these things up there. How are the taxes affecting? How is the market, the real estate market in general? It's struggling up there, isn't it? Isn't it having a hard time?
I mean, you gotta understand, one, I'm in Buffalo, New York, which is literally, like, no exaggeration, I can be in Fort Erie, Canada in less than 12 minutes if the border's not backed up.
Okay.
Um, Plus, I also have Niagara Falls, which is about 45 minutes away, which we can get to Canada that way as well. So we have two major border crossings within less than an hour.
Hmm.
Um, and we have a very, as much as people will tell you that the real estate market is hurting, um, it's hurting for the average homestead buyer. Um,
Yes.
it's
That's
it's not hurting for the investor. It's actually one of the greatest times to be an investor if you understand how to invest. And if you don't, you need to partner with people that understand how to invest and how the banks operate and how these things actually work.
say. Wait. Say that again. You need to do what?
You need to partner with people that understand this business. You need to find a deal and give up some of your equity in order for you to obtain a deal and be a part of something versus having 100% of nothing because you want everything to yourself.
Right. And partnering is a great way of learning. I mean, it's just, when you don't know it all, someone else has answers. You gotta bring them in. Don't be greedy, right? Don't be greedy.
For sure. I mean, I tell people, look at it this way: which one's going to get you more full? 125% of a watermelon or 100 spoiled grapes?
Right. So tell me about what's been your struggles being a newbie here. With you're getting some deals done, so you don't seem to be struggling too much. But what struggles have you come across being a newbie, especially like say in sub 2?
So, my struggles, I would say, is there is so much information that you will get shiny object syndrome. You will want to buy houses, you'll want to buy RV parks, you'll want to buy businesses, group homes. You want to do all of these things because there's so many different things available to you that you never even understood, especially once you realize that you can do all of those things with no money out of your own pocket. Then you're like, oh, well, I can do anything and everything. And you can, but it takes time to learn one thing at a time, stick to one thing, and follow one course until successful. The acronym of focus: follow one course until successful. That's
Hmm.
why all people who are hyper focused on one thing are very successful, because they're following one course until successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So what was your focus? You got focused on, I heard you say foreclosures. Is that what you focused on right away when you got in?
That is what I focused on right away. That is what I was most interested in. I wanted to help people in foreclosure. I wanted to, take on the banks, and, being somebody who never really had good relationship with banks, I was like, screw the banks. So if I could help people in foreclosure, I could literally screw the bank and help the person and help myself and not deal with the banks. Since I've started the foreclosure process, I've understood that it's It's about leveraging the bank as an existing partner instead of looking at the bank as an enemy.
See.
Um,
Okay.
and I think a lot of us, everybody is anti-bank because we don't want to spend this money, we don't want to pay interest, we don't want to this, we don't want to that. Every guru will tell you OPM, 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 other people's money. The bank's money is other people's money. It may not be one of the best people that you want to go to, but the bank is still a private money lender. The bank is still a private money partner. The bank is still a resource for capital.
Mm.
So I think that's something that people need to understand, is that even though a lot of us want to work with private money lenders, a lot of us want to work with private money partners, hard money lenders, all of these things, the bank is still another resource for us to utilize. And you can acquire a deal, say through a private money lender or a hired money lender at 15% interest for an entry fee, and then go to a bank and use a debt service coverage ratio loan or a DSCR loan. And yes, you're going to get an 8% interest rate because today is at 8%, but is 8% better than the 15% that you're paying that hired money lender?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So essentially, there is still room for you to be able to work with the bank if you understand how to leverage the different positions on the playing field.
Okay. So, how are you leveraging the bank? You're using
So,
other people's money. Is that on these deals? Are you using the bank, or you have private money outside of the bank that are helping you with your first two
so
deals?
for these deals, the way that I underwrite a deal when I'm looking for a private money lender, the way that my underwriter that I use was a broker for the banks for 16 years, that all they did was underwrite loans.
Okay.
So they understand the different types of loans that are available and what the bank wants to see in order to approve you for those loans. So every deal we underwrite it as if, what if I cannot find private money and I have to go to the bank? Will the bank fund this deal? And if we can write the deal and it's bank fundable, then we know we can go get a private money lender, because if the bank will take it, a private money lender will take it.
Okay. Let me ask you this: you have someone helping you on that side. You have someone helping you with the underwriting. You think you'd be able to do this all by yourself, alone?
No, absolutely not. I think if I was doing it all by myself alone, um, I mean, I know from experience because I've been studying real estate and trying to get a deal closed since 2020. And for the last 2.5 years, I wasn't able to get a deal closed. And then when I started working with other people and leveraging other people and delegating to people to do the things that I didn't want to do or I wasn't comfortable doing or wasn't my best skill set, now I'm closing deals.
Okay. Who are the first ones that you reached out to? Who was the first one to get you to help closing you a deal?
So the first one I would say that I ever reached out to was people from the Gator community, which was private money lenders, and the Daily Dial. Being in SubTo and being in the Daily Dials with Caroline Kane and role playing, and really just shifting the mindset from I'm here to buy somebody's house to I'm here to provide you a solution, and buying your home may be one of the solutions in the toolbox that I have for you, but it's not the only solution.
Okay. So, are you still focusing just on foreclosures?
I am focusing on foreclosures, on expired listings, and on low equity or no equity
Oh,
properties.
okay. Here's the question that everybody asks in sub two: what's your avatar?
So my avatar, honestly, for me, is somebody that has an actual problem, that is looking for a solution and wants help solving that problem.
All right. So, you're a solution giver.
Correct. I'm not here to, if you don't want my help, I'm perfectly fine walking away and allowing you to deal with your situation. I'm here to help the people that need help, that want help, and require help.
Okay. What's your strong points in a deal? Are you doing like how are you coming across your deals? And you found two. How did you come across those? Foreclosure
So
listings? Are you cold calling? Did someone give you a list?
So my strong suit one was inbound. A lot of my deals are coming to me through people reaching out to me directly because I've been marketing myself as somebody who was in the real estate space for 3 years. Now I have the confidence that I can actually do real estate because I've closed a deal and I'm getting ready to close another deal. Now all of those people who were in those realm have confidence in me because they see that I have confidence in myself and that I'm actually doing things. So now I have people that are sending me deals. Um, and I would say my second deal actually came from Zillow, believe it or not. I was scrolling on Zillow looking at for sale by owner, came across some auction properties, and that's how I found um so yeah, just looking on Zillow, that was a resource. Auction.com is another amazing resource for anybody in foreclosures. It's free. Zillow is free, auction.com is free, and they'll give you foreclosure properties. Auction.com will actually tell you when the property is going to auction. So
Okay.
you'll already know the day, the time, if it's an in-person auction, the property address, and then you leverage some other resources like PropStream and things like that to see who the property owner is.
Okay.
Um, Primarily, I don't cold call because I primarily focus on pre-foreclosures, and they already have creditors calling them. They have the bank calling them. They're getting all of these letters. Most of them are burying their heads in the sand. So if you're not knocking on their door, you're not having a conversation with them, or you're calling them on the phone and they're ignoring your phone call because I'm at their door talking to them in person.
So you're out there hitting the doors then.
Correct. So I'm out there door knocking. I have two realtors that door knock for me as well. So I leverage licensed realtors and actually have them door knocking pre foreclosures for me as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you say you keep saying 3 years. You've been in this game 3 years. So you got it before even joining Sub2.
Correct. So I've been learning and studying real estate since 2020 when I actually started paying for mentorships, and paying to learn and just kind of take in imperfect action. And it's been a bumpy road. I was one of those people that quit my job and thought I was gonna be rich in 6 months from wholesaling when I first started, and then I realized that I didn't want to wholesale. I wanted to buy and hold properties. Um, and I wanted to acquire assets instead of acquire cash and watch other people acquire assets. Um,
So what made that shift? Why did you decide that, hey, I don't want to be a wholesaler. I want to be a buy and hold. What made that?
I would say for me, it would be being born in Buffalo, being born into poverty and never really having anything, and understanding that mindset again that we said earlier in the call, that if you have nothing, you mean nothing. If you have something, you mean something. Your input means something when you have something. So for me, to wholesale, the way I look at it is I'm literally finding an asset, getting an asset under contract, and then giving the asset away for a quick dollar today that will be worth less tomorrow than what it was today when I get paid.
Right. So you're not focused on the cash.
No,
Cash is
I
not king. You're focused on the asset.
correct. I'm focused on the acquisitions. I'm focused on the legacy. I'm focused on breaking the barrier of entry for underserved and underprivileged communities and showing them that cash cash will never be king. As many people will tell you that cash is king, cash will never be king. It has never been king. And inflation and prices rising and changing economies, the dollar is only worth what it's worth because we all agree in this country that it's worth what it's worth. So $100 bill is only worth $100 because 330 million people said it's worth $100. But once
Hmm.
we stop saying that or stop believing that, it automatically becomes of
Yeah.
no value.
Yeah. So how would you, here's been my struggle. One thing, and this was a personal, I always focused on cash, money. Money is the what makes it. Everybody, it seems. Do you think that's a big problem in our community and why it stops a lot of people?
100%. Because people feel like if they have no money, they can't succeed. I will tell you, when I was going through these two deals, I had bank accounts that were in the negative going through these two deals. So I'm closing a deal with a negative bank account. Is my bank account negative now? No, because I just got an almost $9,000 check. But like literally, you can do this no matter what stage of life you're in. You can close a deal and you can make money.
So money should not be an excuse to people in this. Period.
100%.
Right. So I'm glad you're sharing that. Yeah, because I mean, even I when I get in it, I still get that. I still get, caught up. It's like, oh, I need to have money for this. And no, you don't. No, you can do it other ways. There's other ways to get these things accomplished.
Whatever you need money for, somebody else already has it. You need money for a dialer, somebody's got a dialer. You need money for prop stream or batch leads or privy or any of the other thousands of softwares that the internet is trying to sell you.
Mhm.
Somebody else already has a subscription to all of those softwares. You need a CRM, somebody else already has a CRM. Leverage the people that you know that already have the things that you need to help you get further in what you need.
All
Get
right, Dad.
getting ready to getting ready to take the kids out to a restaurant. So the older
Oh,
kids
okay.
trying to
They're
get the younger kids ready, and
and they're excited to go.
yeah, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we're going somewhere. Let's get this. Let's go."
Right.
But, the younger one, I like, well, I don't want to get told what to do by the older ones. So you
Right.
gotta love it.
Absolutely. Being dad. You're just being dad.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me
But
about
yeah,
tell me about networking, man. How when you first got in, you started doing this 3 years ago. Did you start networking? Did you see the importance right off the bat of networking?
immediately. First of all, I love networking. A little bit of personal information about myself is I was born with cerebral palsy. So I actually have a physical disability as well. I use a mobility scooter or crutches to get around.
Really?
Um, and a lot of people see it as a downfall, to where I see it as an ability to be able to stand out. Everybody is going to remember the gentleman on the crutches or the gentleman on the mobility scooter that was in the room, especially once you start having a high level conversation with somebody. um,
Yeah, you're right.
So for me, when it comes to networking, it's the ability to be able to stand out. When it comes to door knocking, it's the ability to be able to stand out. If you see a gentleman that just pulled up to your house on a mobility scooter who took the time to walk up your 5, 6 steps and knock on your door, you're going to be a little bit less apprehensive to tell that person to go fuck off before you give them 2 to 3 minutes of your time to actually hear what they have to say, even if you don't want to hear it.
Right. So yeah. Wow, you go out there, do it like that, and I bet that does help. You could see it kinda diffuses someone's anger right off the bat. This guy's made an effort to come knock on my door. I'm not gonna give him a hard time, even though I may not want what he's trying to sell. Everybody's worried about being sold something these days and when people are knocking on their door, but so that's kinda helped diffuse their anger when you're hitting on those doors, huh?
Correct.
How often you go door knocking?
Generally door knocking at least 3 days a week.
3 days a week? And in 70 days, two deals almost complete, huh?
Correct.
Were you door knocking before SubTo, or did you just start that in SubTo?
Nope. Just started door knocking in SubTo. And the crazy part was I was actually a life insurance agent prior to joining SubTo. And the life insurance people were telling me to door knock. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too difficult. And then I decided to do that. And now it's changing things.
Now it's changing things. That's awesome.
So yeah, SubTo, gave me the confidence and gave me the ability to take the excuses off the table.
So confidence is definitely important then.
Yes, 100%, because they need to understand that you're confident. In order, you can't solve a problem for somebody if they don't see the confidence in you. A confused mind will always tell you no. So if you can't portray confidence to them that you know what you're talking about, or you have the partners that know what they're talking about,
Mhm.
then you're not going to be able to be successful. And you don't have to know everything, because there's so many partners that I leverage and so many different people that I work with. If it's a probate situation, I understand the basics of probate, but I don't know everything. I just refer them to my probate expert. I'm the guy that can get you referred to all of the experts no matter what your problem is.
Okay.
Therefore, I'm seen as credible because I have the credible people behind me, even if it's something I don't understand.
Cool. All right. What in your experiencing with the networking strategies that what are some strategies say newbies can do? What would you recommend to newbies networking getting in this? What do you recommend they first start doing?
Show up, go to local meetups, go to virtual meetups, go to different seminars about things that are real estate related, taxes, accounting, um, underwriting, different real estate meetups. Network with people in your local community, network with people in the subject to community, and understand that there's 12,000 people in SubTo, but there's 7 billion people on the planet. So like, we have an amazing community, but also network with people outside of our community and bring other people into the community that may not have been exposed to the community, so that they can have access to what we have in the community. And just leverage people. There's people out there that need help, that want help, that need education, that want education, that have a desire to help other people. It's just all about connecting all of us together and focusing on a humanitarian aspect of it instead of the financial or racial aspects of it.
Yeah, well, I think the yeah certain other aspects of it are more of a distraction to keep people distracted. You know,
100%.
if everybody wasn't distracted, everybody would be successful, and certain people don't want that, right?
Exactly. That's why my Instagram name is Tasheen on humanity, because I'm big on humanity. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't. All of those diversities is what makes everything great, because we don't have just a one size fits all. Do I have to agree with everything that you do and say? No, but the best minds are minds that have a difference of opinion. If we all thought the same way, there would be no need for a difference.
Absolutely. So, what are your goals? What are some of your goals in the next year with this? Now that you've made some progress, you made some headway. What are you shooting for now? Next, I'll just ask you, what's your next goal in line?
So my next goal is honestly to close an additional 3 deals by the end of this year, by December 31st, 11:59 p.m. I'd like to close an additional 3 deals, other than the deal that I have in my pipeline, which I'm working on a third deal actually right now that came to me. Um, and then really just, getting systems in place is a big thing for me. Put the systems in place so that I can scale. I have a lot of opportunities coming my way. I actually just was speaking with a friend of mine whose brother is connected to the director of a bank in the state of Delaware. And we're in negotiations with that bank right now to help them with all of their foreclosures that they have on the books, which will lead to a lot of possibilities for us. We're in negotiations with a non for profit family promise organization to be able to provide them housing moving forward with assets that we acquire. So there's a lot of things in the works, and we're looking at probably generating over $1 million in business revenue in the next 12 months.
All right. So do you have a team in place right now, or are you in the process of building the team?
I've got some people that I'm working with, but I don't have a definitive team in place yet. So
Okay.
I'm working on building a team. I've got some team players, some free agents, if you will, but we don't have a definitive roster. So I'm working to kind of put that together, and just make sure that all the pieces mesh together,
Right.
well, so that we can all achieve our individual goals while achieving the larger goal at the same time.
Cool. So going into 20, you said three more by the end of the year. So what action are you actually taking to make that happen? You have one. You said you got one in the works, so you still got two more to find. What
Correct.
action are you going to take? What are your action steps?
So I've actually got a meeting with another homeowner on Monday, and we'll decide that may be number two. If that homeowner decides to work with us, they seem pretty motivated and they're looking to work with us. And it's going to be a little bit of work because that's a foreclosure that's scheduled for auction in like the next 10 days or so. So
Ooh.
there'll be a little bit of work on our end. Um, but working with them, and just our biggest thing is finding people that need help, putting the fact out there that we're here to help, and then finding those people. So it's going to be a lot of door knocking a little bit more, and starting to have someone do the cold calling portion of the list and skip tracing, so that I don't have to be the one pulling lists, skip tracing the list, finding the phone numbers, and then just deciding to door knock it anyway because it's easier to just find the address and go knock on the door.
Yeah, that's a lot of work right there, especially doing it yourself. I tried doing some here, just getting the local county list and going through that. Boy, that was fun. Then I got a friend that he gives me some lists, but I wonder about some of the lists because they all seem to be about the same, But you said yourself with foreclosures, everybody sticks their head in the sand. The answer rate on calls is horrible. So I've been
100%.
debating, yeah, I've been debating going doing door knocking because I've been doing the cold calling of foreclosures, and yeah, it's there's the answer rate is nil to zip. They don't answer the phone, and the ones that do answer the phone have an excuse as to either why it shouldn't be in foreclosure or it's taken care of, and they're just sticking their head in the sand. You can
Yeah.
tell they haven't done anything.
No, definitely. And I tell the people, even the people that are like, oh, it shouldn't be in foreclosure. You're right. It shouldn't, but it is. So what
Hmm.
are we going to do to get you out of foreclosure? These are the options that are being provided in order for you to get out of foreclosure. Do these options work for you? Are you able to reinstate and get yourself out of foreclosure? If you can do it, we won't buy your home for you. We'll lay out the options for you and almost like consult with you on the options that we're legally allowed to consult with you on. And then on the options that would require an attorney or some sort of law degree, we'll advise you that we are not attorneys. We are not providing you any legal advice, but you may want to seek the advice of an attorney for these other set of options that would be available. And if you're interested, we then can refer them to an attorney because we have relationships with an attorney.
Cool. Cool. You're making some good progress. I've been watching you and then and hearing you talk, and you have a good head on your shoulders. You have a good idea of what you want to do. So and you asked me the once in the messages is why are you asking me? And that's exactly why I asked you for this interview, because I see exactly what's going on. I see what you're doing. I see the steps you're taking. I can hear that you're not out there just for the quick buck like a lot of people that try to get into this. It's a quick buck thing, and here I'm just so it's I saw that in you exactly why I wanted you on here, because you're doing exactly the things I need to do, and I'm getting a lot of knowledge from you. From how you're going about doing these things, especially like with the door knocking. I've been doing the other side of it, the cold calling. So I'll say stick with what you're doing. It sounds to work better.
Yeah, no, and I mean everything works a little bit, right? But like
Mhm.
if there's a problem and somebody confronts you immediately, like what does a court do? They have somebody physically come serve you a piece of paper to tell you that you have to go to court. Yeah, they mail you something, so they operate in direct mail. Yeah, they might send you an email if they have an email on file. Yeah, they might even call you because you have a lawyer, so the lawyer is going to call you and tell you you've got court, but they still send somebody to door knock you to go to court because everything works a little bit. But once I'm in front of your face, you can't, there's no, I'm here now. Like I'm already here. There's no denying it. You can be angry, you can be upset, you can be emotional, you can go through all of those phases, but the fact still remains that this is actually happening.
Right. So, what kind of response do you get to these ones that are very close, and how? What kind of actions have you had to take to help the ones that are very close to auction?
So very close to auction. I mean, you really only have a few options once it's very close to auction. You can ask the bank to postpone it, and sometimes they'll say yes, and sometimes they'll say no. You can file a purchase contract with the bank as if you intend to buy the property, which you may intend to do, and that'll generally delay it depending on what closing date you put on there. For myself, I normally put 45 days out of a closing date, and then I'll give myself a 45-day inspection period on that same contract so
Okay.
that if need be, I can legally back out of my cash purchase agreement throughout the entire term of the process. Then that gives me 45 days to do that. I will say that's a free option. However, you want to have at least 48 to 72 hours. I would really say 72 to 96 hours if you're going to try and use that method, because they will tell you like, oh, it takes 2 to 3 days in order for us to get that on the books and process it and this, that, and the third. So that's not going to work if the auction is today. You can't go file a purchase contract. Um, if the auction is today, some states legally give them adjournments. Like I know a gentleman in New Jersey who stopped an auction literally 15 minutes before the auction because in New Jersey they're legally entitled to two adjournments for an
Okay.
auction. So they just simply asked for an adjournment and they adjourned it. It doesn't work like that in every state. In my state, if it's the same day, I would advise them to maybe speak with an attorney about some sort of bankruptcy filing being a option to postpone the auction if they have the availability to either reinstate it and stay in the home after that, or they intend to sell the home, that could be an option. I'm not advising them to take bankruptcy as an option. I'm advising them to seek legal counsel to see if that would be a feasible option for them, knowing that that will delay an auction.
Okay. So you have some good options for them when they're close to it. So that's good. You know your stuff, because I'm wondering now. Let me ask you this: when you first got into the foreclosures and got into dealing with one that's in foreclosures coming up to auction, did that scare the shit out of you or what?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my first deal when I did my first deal I'm still working on that I door knocked was actually the foreclosure. He was scheduled to go to auction in like 7 days. So it
Wow.
was like, okay, we gotta figure this thing out like right now. So like when I tell you guys use a purchase contract, it's because I used a purchase contract. Like I'm not telling you it because a video told me it. I'm telling you it because I physically did it and it physically actually worked. So
That's what
I
you had
know,
to figure out, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
Um, so I know that it will work. There's a lot of different options. There's a loan modification. You can't legally advise somebody to seek a loan modification. I can tell you that a loan modification may be an option for you, but I can't advise you to take a loan modification.
Okay. So I need to know if you're messing with foreclosures, it's best to know some of your state laws then.
Yeah. You definitely want to know your state laws. You definitely want to know some of your federal laws. I mean, don't matter what state you're in, you can't ever advise somebody to take bankruptcy if you're not an attorney. You can't help them fill out the paperwork because you're not an attorney. You can't help them fill out loan modification paperwork if you're not an attorney. You can't you can provide a list of options that's available and discuss what the options involved, and certain options you can't even do that. You have to have a lawyer do it. Um so networking again is key because you want to be able to have those lawyers to be able to say like, okay, if I get into this option, I'm going to refer them to Johnny, but if I get into this other option, I'm going to refer them to Richard.
And we know you got yourself you networked with a good one, you said. So
Yeah, I've got a pretty good lawyer. I mean, he's one of two lawyers in all of New York State that'll do creative transactions and actually understands creative transactions. And he does deals all the way from here in Buffalo, which is at the tippy top, all the way to all five boroughs in New York City. Uh,
okay.
so,
Good to know. I'm in Texas though, so I'm staying in my market for now. I'm not trying to
what
shift.
part of Texas?
Houston.
I've got some buyers looking for stuff in Northeast Houston. I want to say it's Spring, Texas.
Yeah, that's where my brother lives. So yeah, I can
Yeah,
come there and look around. Tell me, send me what the criteria, what they're looking for.
all right, for sure.
Maybe I can find something for you. I can connect you on something. Be a connector.
Yeah, and if you connect, we'll offer you the opportunity to JV. Maybe we can do, your first deal together.
Hell yeah. Get into something. I came close on another one, but some connector things, but that fell apart. I came close on I had a wholesale I was trying to do out of Vidor, Texas, but Vidor's not a place. I find out it's not a place that other people buy at, and then the whole thing they wanted way too much for. I couldn't get a good comp, and what I was looking at, I was like, I couldn't figure it out because the land deal part. There was land involved with it, and then
Mhm.
I couldn't figure out the land. The house I was competent, and I was pretty close to that. But then when I got a good comp, I realized this is not a deal, so it's just not something I can do.
All right,
But man,
yeah.
it's great talking to you. What were you gonna say?
I mean, you've got my contact information, so let's stay in contact even, after this and
Most definitely. You're
reach
one I'm
out.
watching. You're one I keep watching because I hear you got a good head on your shoulders, and you ask a lot of good questions and stuff that I don't even think about. So I'm like, huh. And then it's like, he's a newbie. I didn't believe you were a newbie at first, but you're not really a newbie. Just in SubTo, you're a newbie, but you've been at this for a little bit. You've been learning for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, I've bumped my head quite a few times, I'll tell you that.
Right. So I just started bumping my head back in May. So
All right,
but
well let's save you a couple of bumps, give you a helmet so you ain't gotta have so many bumps and we'll go from there.
most definitely. And those kids want to go eat, huh?
Told them to go in the room.
I hear them kids want to go eat.
I read
Yeah,
the
so
world comes back. He can't watch nothing.
We've been going an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. We can wind it down. What I want you to do is anything you want to promote, like tell me about your business. You got your if you have your LLCs or whatever thing, anything you want to promote, send me your links, You have my email now, so please send me your links. I'll put them in the descriptions. This will be posted on my YouTube and pod on Spotify and Apple eventually. Apple's a little slower, but
All right, for sure. I will definitely send that over to you. I appreciate the time, and let's do this again sometime.
oh yeah, I'm thinking about 6 months as I get more into this too, because I'm new at this podcasting thing. I just this was a homework assignment this was my shiny object for SubTo when I got into the project forward. So
All right.
definitely, I'm planning on getting everybody back in about 6 months, 6 7 months. We'll see what's going on with you, bring you back
Yeah.
around and see where you're at in your journey.
Yeah, sounds great. I'd love to do that. And
Man,
then when I start mine, we'll bring you on as well. So,
well, when you start yours, let me know anything you need, man. I'm willing to help out. You got any questions, man? You have my contact information. Keep it. Give me a shout. I'll help you out with whatever I can.
all right, sounds great. Thank you.
Tasheen, good talking to you. Thank you for coming on.
You as well. Great talking to you, Todd. And let's continue to make it happen. And let's work together.
Definitely. All right, I'm gonna have to keep you on probably a few seconds to let this download on your side. So I'm ending the recording now.